The Living Force by John Jackson Miller comes out on April 9th. I got to read it a little early, so here's my spoiler-free review. The story takes place about 1 year before the events of The Phantom Menace and follows the entire Jedi Council as they visit one of their outposts in the Mid-Rim. During the time of the High Republic, we've seen outposts across the galaxy where Jedi would be stationed to keep an eye on the planet and its people, protecting them from pirates or other dangers, or simply helping them with unique everyday challenges that world might present. The Nihil and their Force-eating creatures caused the Jedi Council to temporarily recall the entire Order back to Coruscant, but hundreds of years later, it seems like temporarily has become permanent. The Jedi don't live among the various people of the galaxy as much as they used to. What's more is the Galactic Republic is seemingly pulling back from certain planets and trade routes they were so eager to include during their expansion in the High Republic. The Living Force wound up being a good bridge between the Golden Age of the Jedi and the coming Separatist movement. Why should all these planets stay with the Republic? They're no longer receiving much support from the government. As corporations and businesses pull away from these mid-rim planets, the Republic seemingly follows them, and the Jedi Order follows the Senate shortly after. Outposts are being closed across the galaxy, and the book starts with Qui-Gon addressing the Jedi Council about exactly that. He challenges the leaders of the Order to literally get out of their ivory tower, stop ruminating about philosophy, and go help just one person. So right off the bat, the stakes for this story start off pretty low. It's basically about the Jedi Council throwing a party on a planet they once had a strong connection to, called Quinn. The 12 members go out on their own or pair up, and the first 2/3 of the book reminded me of movies like Love Actually or Crash, where there are several stories that are distinct but interconnected, almost like individual short stories about how each Jedi Master finds someone to help or something small to do for the community, but the plot lines eventually converge into a battle because this is Star Wars. There's gotta be a battle. So this story that starts off feeling pretty small winds up having larger implications, which I think is absolutely the point. The Jedi Council got caught up thinking about protecting the galaxy from huge galactic threats, or they meditated on the cosmic force and the big picture, and it's not bad to keep those things in mind, but as Jedi, they also need to keep balance. They can't lose sight of the small problems or the living force. Yes, they need to help the galaxy as a whole, but that is a massive and overwhelming job. Sometimes simply taking the time to help just one person can ripple out, and a few small acts of kindness will have big consequences. I tend to like my Star Wars books to feel like they're on the larger scale, so I was surprised by how much I enjoyed the little vignettes about each Jedi, and I was impressed by how distinct they all felt. In the movies, most of them just sit there while Yoda and Mace do all the talking.
Oh, so it's a council now? It's not just the two of you?
Even the Clone Wars is light on characterization for some of them, like Saesee Tiin. He isn't around much in the series, and when he does show up, he'll often just be there. But now, getting to know his personality and getting to find out what his specialties are, seeing him in action, hearing him make quips in battle, he's one of my new favorites, which makes it more of a bummer that he dies so easily in Revenge of the Sith. Same with Eeth Koth. He's around even less, but I probably wound up relating to him the most because he tends to bury himself in work when he should just be enjoying himself. Yarael Poof is funny. Even Peel is creative in his problem solving. Depa Billaba is determined. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are also around, and it's no surprise at all that John Jackson Miller nails Kenobi, even at this point in the character's life. My point is, the fact that there are 14 major Jedi characters in this book and they each get their own standout moments is impressive. I do think that with so many characters, that left less time for the villain of the book, a pirate named Zalastra, and her crew. Her motivations were clear, her planning was pretty cool, but she never felt like a legitimate threat. And how could she? This is a year before The Phantom Menace. We know every single one of our heroes are not only Jedi Masters, except for Obi-Wan, and we know they're all in The Phantom Menace, so they're not gonna die. Certainly the fate of Quinn is up in the air, but the Jedi are so competent, I never felt the full tension of the final fight. The scenes are focused on giving each Jedi something cool to do, which is great, but there never seemed like a chance in hell the pirates might win, which did bring up some interesting mid-fight philosophy between the Jedi about how much mercy to show and how badly to beat the pirates. I also think the tragic part of this book is that there isn't much room for character development. That's an issue with lots of bridge stories like this. There's only so much Miller can do before running into the Phantom Menace, and while Ki-Adi Mundi has some good moments in The Living Force, he's still gotta be ki Ki-Adi-Mundi in the prequels. This adventure was fun to read, and I loved getting to know all the characters more, but it still takes place within the fall of the Jedi era. The Jedi Order continues to remain centralized on Coruscant, they continue to lose the faith of the people they're meant to protect. It goes to show how hard it is to keep that balance between the living force and the cosmic, between helping people every day and helping the galaxy in the long run. And to be fair to the Jedi, they might have had an easier time keeping that balance if they didn't actively have a Sith Lord closely working against them. And yes, there are some good Palpatine moments in this book. Despite that storm cloud of the Phantom Menace and the Clone Wars on the horizon, The Living Force was overall a fun and thought-provoking read. I was actually surprised at how funny it could get too. Yes, there is a tragic spin to this story if you're looking at it from the perspective of the galactic timeline, but if you get close and personal, like the book asks us to do, it is a straight-up comedy at points. There's a trio of idiot pirate characters that keep having run-ins with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan that were highlights of the book for me. Even if this iteration of the Jedi Order is doomed, and there are criticisms to be leveled at the Jedi Council, there is still joy to be found in their story. So, who would I recommend this book to? Prequel fans for sure, especially if you love The Phantom Menace. Also, I think High Republic fans will get a lot out of reading this. It's not part of the High Republic initiative, but there are several thematic connections to it. Many of the characters were alive during that period, and there's some interesting exploration into how things have changed since then. And just general Jedi fans will probably enjoy this. Getting a bunch of slice-of-life stories about Jedi Masters going around helping people was really nice to read. But that's all I have to say about The Living Force today. Again, it comes out on April 9th, and if you're interested in listening to the audiobook, you can pre-order it right now for free by following the link in the description or by visiting audibletrial.com/Star Wars Explained. The Star Wars audiobooks are always great with sound effects and music, so they're like listening to a movie. This one is narrated by Mark Thompson, who does fantastic voice work as well. If you sign up for a free 30-day trial, you'll get a credit for 1 free audiobook or 2 if you're an Amazon Prime member, and you can use that credit to pre-order The Living Force or just about any other Star Wars book, or get any audiobook you want. The point is, you get a free book and you'll be supporting the channel when you do. But that's it for today. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on our socials, and consider checking out our Patreon page where we'll be having a book club discussion of The Living Force later on in April. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.